Hey, it's Jared. In this video, we're going to compare two tablets. On the left, we have the Amazon Fire HD 8 Plus, and on the right, we have the iPad Mini. This is the 6th generation iPad. Both of these are the most current devices here in February of 2023 at the time that I'm recording this video. So the reason I'm making this video is because both of these are 8-inch tablets. They're geared towards somebody that wants something that is more mobile, that has more of a tablet feel, but is not large like a lot of the larger tablets that are available today. I get questions about these devices specifically as to whether or not one would be better versus the other for a tablet for a kid because they're smaller devices. Kids are smaller. I guess that all makes sense. But I wanted to talk about the differences between these devices to maybe help you make a decision as to whether or not this would be the best for you personally or for a child. So over on the left, we have the Fire HD 8 Plus. This is the latest version of the device. It has an 8-inch display. It is HD as far as the resolution goes. It runs on Android, but is Amazon's flavor of Android. It's not the same Android that you would get on another Android type of device, such as a smartphone or another Android tablet. It is specific to Amazon, and we'll talk a little bit about that. It has some decent features. It's actually a pretty impressive device for the price point. And then we have the iPad Mini, which came out a few years ago now and is a fantastic device, even though it's getting a little old. The iPad Mini line doesn't seem to get updated as often as the other iPads that Apple has. Of course, they could change that at any time. The iPad Mini has had updates and then not, and then updates, but the iPad Mini 6 is still a very strong device in 2023. We'll start by talking mostly about the Amazon device, and then we'll move over to the iPad. The Amazon device here, like I said, runs on Android. It's Amazon's version of Android, which means you're not going to get access to all of the Android apps that are available in the Google Play Store. You're only going to get access to the apps that are in the Amazon App Store. To look and see if there are apps that you just really have to see if they're available before buying one of these devices, you can go on Amazon's website and you can go into the App Store section and search for apps to see if they're available. But there aren't nearly as many apps available in the Amazon App Store as there are in the Google Play Store, and likewise also in the Apple App Store for the iPad. That might be a deal breaker for you. What this device is really good at is connecting to Amazon's software. All of their different apps and tools that they have available typically can be connected to here. And you can see a lot of them listed right here. Of course, it comes with the Amazon app for shopping and all of that good stuff. You have access to Kindle for reading books, and it's a color display, which means it's a little bit different of an experience than on a traditional Kindle e-reader, meaning that if there's any color in those books, you can see that. And of course, when you do highlights and stuff, highlighting and making notes can be done in different colors as well. You've got access to Prime Video, so movies and TV shows, all of that good stuff. You also have Amazon Kids, which is a great feature because it can turn this device into a kid's device. The Amazon device is very kid-friendly, and my kids actually started out with that type of device. All that was available to them were age-appropriate games and age-appropriate videos, which I think is a really great feature that you can just simply set up a profile for a child, put it within an age range, and then everything that they're going to see is going to be age appropriate. I think Amazon does a really good job, and they're really one of the only out there doing that where you could set up a device specifically for a kid and it not have a bunch of access to other tools and things where you'd have to delete apps or make sure that certain parental controls were set up. It's just very easy to do that on a device like this. Like I said, there's access to Kindle, Amazon Music, Audible, so all of the Amazon apps that you would use are available here and work really well on this device, and it's definitely powerful enough to manage all of those things. Now, I did play a few games that maybe were a little bit heavier on this device just to see how responsive it was, and it was able to hang pretty well with the different games that I was playing. It got a little sluggish at times, but it's not a performer. It's an inexpensive device that allows you to get connected to some apps and, of course, the majority of what Amazon has to offer. And so you can see I've also installed a couple of games. I've got some social media apps that I use just to see what the experience would be like. And then, of course, Dropbox and tools like that. Most of the bigger named apps and tools have an app that's in the Amazon App Store. And so you should be okay if you need access to some of those different apps. One of the things that is not available on a device like this is a native YouTube app. Although there is an app that you can use for watching YouTube videos, the video for YouTube app, it's not that great in comparison to an actual YouTube app. So you're going to be missing out on some things on a device like this. On this device, you can get either 32 or 64 gigabytes of storage, which if that's not enough for you, it actually has a slot for a micro SD card. So you can put a micro SD card in your device that will support up to 1 terabyte of storage, which means you can turn this into a massive device for media by loading up all of your movies and pictures and videos and whatever else onto a micro SD card and putting it into this tablet and having everything available. That means being able to view things offline without saving or downloading. This is one of the few devices left on the market that have that kind of feature. The iPad does not have expandable storage. So that is a neat feature that this tablet does have. So just to give you a preview of the user interface, you have your home screen here that has apps, recent apps, and then some apps that you can discover here, which are kind of like ads. It just shows you apps that you might be interested in. You have your For You page, which gives you weather, gives you your recent apps, some sponsored apps, continue reading different books that you were on. And then we can come over here into the library and just see what we have available on our device or on the cloud. Of course, if you have things saved in the cloud, those will start to show up here as well. Very simple user interface and not highly customizable, but it helps you see anything that you would have within your Amazon ecosystem. It also has a front-facing and a rear-facing camera, and they're not bad. They're actually decent cameras, so if you're gonna do video calls or you're gonna use this to connect to an Echo device or something like that, or use something like Zoom or whatnot, there's apps like that you can use on this device, you're gonna have a decent experience there. As far as unlocking this device, the only form of unlocking this device is a passcode unlock. So let's jump over to the iPad mini. The iPad mini is definitely more expensive, but it has a higher resolution display and a lot more performance than the Amazon Fire device is going to have. Beyond the higher resolution, both with the display, the cameras are better as far as the resolution as well and perform a little bit better. I would say that the front-facing cameras on both of these devices are pretty close to each other. Apple is not known for putting the best front-facing cameras on anything other than the iPhone, but the iPad's front-facing camera isn't horrible. It's not too much better than the Fire device. But there is one killer feature that the iPad mini does have, and that's Apple Pencil support. And so I can use an Apple Pencil on this device. I have the paper-like screen protector on here because I like to use apps like GoodNotes to write. And so I can simply write on here, but this has, of course, no Apple Pencil support, but it doesn't have any support for a type of pen or pencil unless it's just a basic rubber-tipped stylus. So you can use a basic stylus on this type of device, but for those of you that have used those in the past, it's no comparison to something like an Apple Pencil. The iPad has the App Store, which has a massive variety of apps. It's the biggest app ecosystem out there as far as tablets go, even beating Google Play. So as far as tablet apps go, you're gonna have a much better experience over on the iPad. All of these apps are available on the iPad as well. So you can read your books in Kindle, listen to them in Audible, watch your movies and TV shows in Prime Video, and upload and back up all of your photos and video to Amazon Photos. So there's a lot that you can do here, and you can do it on the iPad as well. Of course, the iPad is a lot more expensive, but it's also a lot more of a device. So there's also a lot more accessories that are going to be available for the iPad as well. Not only as far as cases go, but also with pens, styluses, and other accessories that you can utilize with a tablet, and that also integrate with apps as well. You're not going to find many apps that integrate with external things available on the Amazon device. I will say though, one surprising feature that the Amazon device has that the iPad does not have is wireless charging. So if you have a wireless charging device available at your house, you can wirelessly charge with the Fire, but you cannot with the iPad. That's something that I hope they bring to future iPad minis, as it's the perfect size device for something like that. So with the iPad mini, it really comes down to there being just a lot more possibilities, but depending on what you're trying to accomplish, it could also be limiting. There is no ability to set multiple profiles on an iPad mini. When you get an iPad mini, you assign it to somebody, whether it's yourself or a child within your family, and set up the device accordingly. On the Fire device, you can have multiple people utilizing one device. So if I swipe down here and then tap on the person icon, I can switch between my profile or the profile of one of my kids. And I can have several kids set up, even my wife. And so anybody can go and grab this device and sign into their account and have their apps and their books and their favorite TV shows and all of that stuff showing up. Whereas on the iPad mini, you're not going to be able to do that. Of course, most of the apps do support multiple profiles. And so like when you sign into Prime Video, it might ask who's watching and you can choose your profile versus somebody else's, but that's going to be a manual process. Whereas on the Fire tablet, it's a simple change of the profile. So what would I choose for myself? Well, I would probably choose the iPad mini for myself because it has more apps available and there's just much more that I can accomplish with the iPad mini. Plus it has the Apple Pencil. I got the paper-like screen protector on here, and it's just a really nice experience for writing, taking notes, annotating documents, and all of that stuff as well. Plus, as a private pilot, I use my iPad mini along with ForeFlight, which allows me to have a lot of great tools available in flight, and that app is specific to the iPad mini. With the Kindle device, it's a great device for kids because it's inexpensive, and perhaps you don't want to give an expensive device to a child. You want something that's simple, that has an easy way of managing the age-appropriate content. The Amazon Fire is going to be a great device for that. It's not that you can't accomplish that on an iPad. It's just going to take a lot more setting up and configuring than it will on a device like this. The experience on the iPad is going to be a lot better, but it's going to take more work to customize and configure it than it would on a device like this, where you can just set the age, logged in, and hand it off, and it's ready to go. Both of these devices have really great battery life. The iPad definitely edges out the Fire as far as battery life goes. I get tremendous battery life out of this device. This device is good with the battery life, but if you're watching content, consuming content nonstop, the battery does drain faster on the Fire than on the iPad. So to close out this video, which of these devices is good for who? Well, I've had iPad mini since the very first iPad mini came out. I've also had Fire devices here and there throughout the entire life of this platform. My mom actually still has the original Fire device that Amazon came out with, and it still works. And even though it's not receiving updates so much anymore, it still operates and has okay battery life all these years later. So both of these devices are really built to last. They're going to last a long time, and they're both going to get software updates for quite some time before things start to run a little bit slower. Not worried about the longevity of either of these devices. However, the iPad does offer a lot more, and it's very expandable. So if you plan to give this device to a child, this can grow with them more than this device can, depending on their age. With that, I tend to lean towards the iPad because it connects better with the other devices that I have in my household. Being that I'm primarily an iPhone user, have iPads, we use iMessage and all of that good stuff. This device works within that ecosystem, whereas this device is kind of alone in its own ecosystem. It is very limited as far as Alexa goes and doesn't operate too well with the other devices outside of having to have the Alexa app installed on those different devices. And I love the fact that you only have to say the name now instead of saying hey in front of it, but I can't even say that word without activating this tablet. So with that said, fantastic devices. Both of them are very impressive that the price point is what it is on this device. It is the price point that it is because it's primarily locked in to the majority of what Amazon has to offer. And it's not too expandable like the iPad is. So while it's a fantastic device for the price, you are going to be locked into that ecosystem quite a bit, not having access to all of the apps that are available in the Play Store. If that's okay, this is the best option for you or perhaps for a child. However, as far as expandability goes, the iPad mini is going to be the best bet there. So let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Which device works best for your needs? If you have any questions or any confusion that I could clear up for you down in the comment section, definitely ask. If this video was useful, give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can get updates when I put out new videos. But that's going to do it for today. We'll see you in the next one.